I would like the audience to be seated, please, so we have a chance to admire our graduates in their full beauty. Now I would also ask the graduates to be seated, please. Welcome to the 17th Croft graduation ceremony. My name is Oliver Denius, and I have the distinct privilege of serving as the Executive Director of the Croft Institute. It's wonderful to see so many proud parents, grandparents, family and close friends here to celebrate our 2017 graduates. Before I continue, I would like to remind you to please silence your cell phones for the duration of the ceremony. This is a very special class, to me personally and to the Croft Institute. For me, this class is special because it's the first to graduate since I became the Executive Director. It is also a class that I've accompanied closely since its first semester on campus as eager freshmen, when I taught them an introduction to international studies. They remember me in that class because, to quote one of our graduates, I made their papers bleed with red. And I remember them fondly because I sensed that this would be a dynamic and engaged group, and they have not disappointed. Just as importantly, we will remember this class as one that took the Croft Institute to the next level. This is the largest graduating class in the history of the Institute. 48 students have completed the requirements for the degree and will be receiving the diploma later in the ceremony. In this class, a larger share of entering freshmen made it to the finish line than in recent years, and that includes all 10 Croft scholars to be selected before their first year. This class also displays nice balance. As you can see, 26 of our graduates are women and 23 are men. 23 of them are from Mississippi and 25 from out of state. It is very much the vision of the Croft Institute upon its founding, to bring together the best and brightest from this state with outstanding students from the rest of the United States. In this class, we also see the fruits of our efforts to broaden the choice of regions and languages in the major. This cohort includes the first sizable group studying Arabic and the Middle East, a concentration we only added in 2011. We also have 2 students graduate with a focus on Korea, the most recent addition to our foreign language offerings. Last but not least, this is a class of great accomplishment that has enhanced the reputation of the Croft Institute as one of the premier programs on campus. This class includes numerous Taylor medalists, inductees to the most prestigious honor societies, and members of Who's Who at Ole Miss. Just as importantly, it includes students who have been leaders in community service, whether it was in student government, at the forefront of campus green initiatives, organizing the big event, or raising funds at the Rebel-thon for the Batson Children's Hospital. For this group of students, college was always about more than just academics, without ever losing their focus on the coursework that provides the foundation for their future success. What about the future? Parents of visiting high school students often ask us, what can you do with an international studies degree? And some of you parents sitting here today have that same question. And in fact, some of the graduates sitting over here may have lingering doubts about what this really is. But the answer we always give to those parents or prospective applicants is, the international studies major opens the door to many different careers. And I think you will find that that holds true. Speaking directly to you graduates, you will discover how much you have learned during your time at Croft once you enter the workforce or pursue graduate school and compare yourself to graduates from all over the country. The experience and careers of our graduates in past years suggest that you will find yourself well positioned to take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves. The alumni of the Croft Institute, now 17 years in running, work in many fields, often not in the ones that they anticipated working in when they left Croft. Quite a few graduates do work in careers that one might expect, given their training, as lawyers, in government service with an international focus, or in the intelligence community. Others have moved into jobs that, on the face of it, have little to do with what they learned at Croft. Let me cite a few examples. Patrick Doman, a 2008 graduate, is now the manager of marketing analytics at the Arby's restaurant group. Kennedy Horton, a 2009 graduate who recently took a position as general manager of GNC in China. Several of our graduates work for PricewaterhouseCoopers, or PwC, I guess it's called now, both in China and in the US. For example, Liana Tai, who graduated last year, and Anthony Yuen, who graduated in 2008. There's also Mia Bautista, class of 2007, and the daughter of our own professor, John Gutierrez, sitting in the front. She is currently senior managing consultant at Berkeley Research Group in Washington, D.C. Maybe the most inspiring story is that of Patrick Woodyard, class of 2010, who is the founder and CEO of Nisolo, a company that specializes in ethically produced leather shoes made by shoemakers in Trujillo, Peru. And let me tell you, these are wonderful shoes. And in fact, I'm wearing some. And maybe you can take a sneak peek later on when we find out. And let me assure you that Patrick has not offered me any commission for saying. The common theme in all of these stories, it seems to me, is that our graduates have learned to deliver quality work and then apply that skill to their new tasks. Which, by the way, ties back to the theme of making your papers bleed red. The stories of our alumni should make you, graduates, confident you will forge your own path. For some of you, it might take a little longer to find your footing, but I'm confident that persistence will pay off for all of you. As you do forge your own path, we hope that you will stay connected to Croft. Many of you enjoyed the alumni panel in the fall, and we hope to have many more such events in the future, creating a real network of Crofties around the country and the world, and putting current students and alumni in touch. We'll be calling you in 4 or 5 years, once you have forged that path, to bring you back and tell then current students the story about how you took what you learned in this building and turned it into a successful career. You would not be in that position, ready to conquer the world, were it not for the help and support of numerous people, many of them present in this room, and I would like to recognize them now. First and foremost, I want to thank the trustees of the Croft Institute, whose generosity allowed the University of Mississippi to establish the Institute in 1997. Since then, the Joseph C. Bancroft Charitable Educational Fund has contributed close to $50 million to the Croft Institute, initially for the renovation of this wonderful pre-Civil War building, and since then with very generous annual gifts that provide for student scholarships, faculty salaries, the operations budget of the Institute, and many of the other special things that the Croft Institute can offer to its students. We have the great fortune to have present here today 2 members of the Board of Trustees. Let me first introduce you Mr. Gerald M. Abdallah, the guiding spirit and he is joined today by Mr. Tom A. Abdallah, the chairman of the Croft Board. Please join me again in thanking them for their extraordinary generosity, their commitment, and their ongoing support for the Croft Institute with a warm round of applause. Next, I would like to introduce the Croft faculty, who are seated over there to your right. It is difficult to overstate the contribution of these professors to the success of Croft. Not only do they give lectures, conduct seminars, and great student work, but they also generously give their time and energy, sharing specialized knowledge and offering personal and professional advice to our students. It's the faculty who make the Institute what it is and make it possible for your daughters and sons to achieve the high levels of accomplishments they have in fact achieved. As I introduce you professors, please stand and remain standing, and I would ask the audience to hold its applause until all the professors have been introduced. First is John, I'm going to start in the back. First person is Dr. Marcos Salomon Gonzalez, Professor of History, specialized in Latin America, and also Dean of the Honors College. Next is Dr. Joshua Howard, Associate Professor of History with a specialization in China, East Asia more general. Then we have Dr. David Gonzalez, who is an Instructional Assistant Professor of Economics. He also teaches the Introduction to International Studies. Then we have Dr. Tim Nordstrom, Professor of Political Science. Then we have Dr. Marcus Mendoza, who is an Assistant Professor of Anthropology with a specialization in Latin America. And then I can't see there's Dr. Chris Sapp, who is a Associate Professor of German. Then we have Dr. Minju Oh, who is an Associate Professor of Sociology. And then we go back to the front row. Is there someone hiding in the back beyond you? No? Okay. Yeah, there's Dr. John Gutierrez, Professor of Spanish. Dr. Vivian Ibrahim, Associate Professor of History in Middle Eastern specialization. And we have Dr. Kenton Peas, who's an Associate Professor of Anthropology, also with a specialization in Latin America. And Dr. Mark van Beuning, who is a Professor of Economics. Then I'm going to have to step around here. There's Dr. Joshua First, who's an Associate Professor of History with a specialization in Europe, Russia in particular. Next to him is Dr. Valentina Yepuri, who is an Assistant Professor of Russian. And then again, I can't see, there is Dr. Henrietta Yang, who is an Associate Professor of Chinese and also the Director of the Flagship Program in Chinese. And finally, you have Dr. Kaoru Ochiai, who is an Assistant Instructional Professor of Japanese and has been single-handedly running our Japanese program. I'm not sure whether I overlooked anybody. Then there's on the back is Luisa Rizzoli, who is I don't know your status. Instructional Assistant Professor in art. Good. And I would like to all join me in thanking this professor for all the work they do. And I wanted to briefly mention one professor who is missing here today. That is Kees Gispen, my predecessor as the executive director, who saw these graduates through their first 3 years and developed a close relationship with many of them. He could not be here today and sends his regrets and special greetings to you all. There's another professor who deserves special recognition here, and that is John Gutierrez, co-professor of Spanish. He will be retiring at the end of this academic year. He has been the pillar to sustain Croft's Spanish program for more than 15 years running, training every single student who has come through Croft with Spanish as their Croft language. He will be sorely missed. John, we wish you all the best on your time. John has requested the time to say a few words.
Yeah, if I could. It's been a wonderful 17 years here. I had great students at the University of Virginia and great students at Penn State University prior to coming here, but these kids are just as good or better than anybody I had there. If I could single out a couple who I've worked very closely with this last year, who to me epitomized the Croft student, John Michael Pierce and Margaret. I call her, I've confused her for years now. Their GPAs speak volumes about their academic ability. They studied abroad, and they did what we expect all students to study abroad. They acquired the proficiency in language that we expect students to acquire. And then finally, these two kids, I worked very closely with them this last year. You will not find two nicer human beings. And I think that just epitomizes the kind of students that we've been graduating here for the last few years. Now, they're not perfect. I had to get on Margaret a couple of times for texting in class. But she took it very well. But really, I want to thank the University of Mississippi, and especially thank the Croft Institute for allowing me to finish out my career working with such an elite group of students. Thank you all so much.
Next, I would like to thank the members of the Croft Institute staff who do all the daily work that makes the Institute thrive and provide a welcoming environment for our students. Let me begin with Dr. Wilshank, Croft Associates Director, seated to my left, now standing to my left. He has been with the Institute for 9 years. And all those years, he has put his computer wizardry at the service of our students, making sure that they all stay on track with well-timed reminders and one-on-one meetings. The Croft Institute would not function on a day-to-day basis without the dedicated work of our operations manager, Liz Perrier, who handles our finances, manages the building, and makes sure that all the big and little things are in place. Thank you, Liz. Margaret Ross-Long, our admissions coordinator, works hard to recruit the very best students from Mississippi and beyond to come study at Croft. Her work has paid off. The last 2 years we have seen a record number of applications to the International Studies major. Thank you, Margaret Ross. Together, Liz and Margaret Ross made sure that today's ceremony would be a memorable event for our graduates and their guests. To recognize their special effort, I would like to ask both to come up and receive a symbolic token of our appreciation. I would be amiss not to mention another staff member, Scotty Paulson, couldn't be here today, our telecommunications analyst, who is responsible for installing, managing, and maintaining all classroom technology into student computer labs. And last but not least, let me mention the Croft student workers. In fact, many of whom are graduating today. They've worked as receptionists throughout the year, and they're always available for special events such as this one here. Today's crew, just for context, are all students in their first 3 years in the program. Please join me once more in thanking the entire Croft staff and the student workers. Last but not least, this is also a moment for us, faculty and staff of the Croft Institute, to thank you, parents, grandparents, family and friends, for the support you have provided to our graduates. Croft holds very high expectations for every student entering the program. We have designed a demanding curriculum that requires our students to dedicate much of their energy and time to succeed. For most students here, I suspect there were probably moments when it all seemed too much. Not least this last year, when they all had to write a senior thesis. But your unwavering support helped them to get through it all. Graduates and faculty, please join me in thanking the families for that support. But with all the well-deserved thank yous, we should not forget who the true stars of our ceremony are. Our graduates, who have persevered and excelled during their studies here at the Croft Institute. Please join me in congratulating this very special Croft class of 2017.